Hi everyone, my name is Grant Marconi and I'm a rising senior at UT Austin majoring in finance and Spanish. Last year I served as the chair of the Financial Affairs Committee. I serve in a ministry called Ignite Texas, and this next year I'm serving as the financial director for student government. I'm here today to talk to each and every one of you about the budget for student government, some of the finances, how it works, give you a crash course to help you navigate it and accomplish your goals for this next year. I've seen a lot of people come into student government with a lot of great ideas, a lot of passion, a lot of fire, and they get limited because they don't know how the finances of student government work. So today I want to help you understand every aspect of the budget, how you fit into it, and how you can best make the money of SG work for you. I'm excited for today. I'm going to try and make this sexy topic of finance a little more interesting, and let's go ahead and dive in. First, we'll start with the FAC, which is the Financial Affairs Committee. All it is it's a group of assembly members who serve on this committee who oversee all the financial decisions made by student government in terms of the budget. So during this summer, the FAC really has full authority over the budget. Anything that the FAC decides, it happens during the summer. But during the normal school year, which is where it'll more apply to you guys, the FAC will review every decision, every request made with the budget, and they will approve it or deny it. But just because the FAC approves it, the budget still has to go to the General Assembly and get approved there. So there's another step that has to happen during the normal school year, which is what we'll all go through as well. It's a great experience, and it's not boring at all. It's very boring. Second, we'll talk about the general budget. So every year, and it's a yearly thing, by the way, the general budget happens, and this is where each of you will apply in the beginning of the school year. This will happen at the very beginning of fall. In fact, it'll probably happen before the exact school year begins. We'll send out all those dates in the future, but the general budget consists of all sorts of expenses. It's the largest part of the budget. So it includes operating expenses when we're buying printer paper, we're paying for the printers, ink, etc. We also pay for the tuition of certain members of student government. We also pay exec a little stipend, and so that comes out of the general budget as well. And all of your requests, whenever your agencies make requests, those will also come out of the general budget at first. It includes other things, but those are kind of the general ideals. The general budget covers an entire year, so it'll be approved in early fall, but it includes expenses all the way to the end of the spring semester following next semester, if that makes sense. Next, we'll talk about special projects. Special projects is really confusing, and I don't know why. It's not that confusing. It's more simple than people make it seem to be. All special projects is our internal spending arm of student government. It's for any member of student government that wants to request funds for either a special donation, a special project, hence the name, or any other miscellaneous expenses. It's available to any internal member of student government. So I can apply for it, the president can apply for it, a member of the assembly can apply for it, and you guys can apply for it. So let's say, just hypothetical, if you applied for something in the general budget, it got denied because of some random issue, they said we want to look at this a little bit more, they may encourage you to apply for special projects. The same request, just a little bit more detail. That's happened in the past, and we've had things get denied in the general budget, but then get approved in the special projects. Next, we'll cover appropriations, which appropriations is just the external financing arm of student government. So for instance, if the special projects covers organizations and people inside student government, the appropriations is for organizations outside of student government. So if there's a student organization at UT Austin that has a special project, a special event that they're hosting, and they want to apply for funding from student government, they can apply during our application window, and we'll review their application, either approve it or deny it. Usually we'll approve it to some sort of amount that is less than what they applied for, but that's neither here nor there. For instance, though, let's say an internal organization like the LLAs, let's say they applied for money from appropriations. Well, that's not how that works. LLA is a student government organization, so they need to apply for special projects because that's an internal request. The last thing about the budget, those are really all the parts, right? We have the general budget, we have the special projects, the appropriations, and then the FAC is just an important part of that puzzle. The last part is that the budget, the general budget, is for the entire year. And so if you're making some requests at the beginning of the fall semester, you really need to think further out than just what's ahead of you in the fall. You need to also think about what your organization, what your agency wants to do during the spring. Additionally, we're going to have deadlines for all these different parts. That can be the confusing part. The special projects deadline and application window is going to be different than the general budget application window, etc. Appropriations has its own sort of world, and that's all sent out to external organizations. So you're going to have a lot of dates moving around. When I'm emailing you or the future financial director is emailing you, you have got to pay attention to those, take notes, know what's coming, what's going, and really make sure that you're paying attention to all those important dates. And last but not least, in order to make a request, you have to attend a spending workshop. Now, a spending workshop is probably the most interesting thing you'll do in student government. I'm just kidding. Spending workshops are a necessity. They're not terribly boring, but they're also not terribly long. So it's it's a good compromise. You have to attend a spending workshop before you make an application